What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's network. I don't know what to call this video, so we're just call it a card design ranting video, which is something I do a lot on my live streams over at twitch.tv/Celio's network, but sometimes we'll just, talk about the state of the Pokemon TCG, talk about how I would design cards or how I would like to see cards designed. So something I'm very passionate about, so I thought you all might enjoy having this discussion today. Before we get into talking about some of the fixes I would do for the recent card designs, how I would like to see cards changed, as you might be able to see, we're going to be using Vivid Voltage cards as examples of how I would have designed the card or how I might have liked to see it designed to see what it does to the game. Before we do that, shout out to PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Use code Celio for 5% off. So for starters, let's just say I think if tag teams were never a thing, like somebody didn't ship it, somebody over at Creatures Inc. in Japan said we can't do tag teams, it's too powerful, it's going to warp the pace of the game, 3 prize Pokemon, the game was not meant to be played this way. If tag teams never happened, I think we'd be in a much different position, because they wouldn't have had to make VMAX or whatever mechanic they went to after GX. They wouldn't have needed to make VMAX so powerful. VMAX had, like, Eternatus VMAX has to do so much damage and has to have so much HP, or it would just be overrun by tag teams. I mean, tag teams are still in the format. We got Luke Metal, ADP, Pikarom, Breaksard and Reshizard have been performing. What else? We have Tina Chomp performing sometimes. So, like, tag teams are still doing well, and, like, so don't get me wrong, I want cards from 2 years ago that are still in standard to be relevant, but they had to make VMAXs so incredibly strong to fight against tag teams, and sometimes they still lose to tag teams. Tag teams were just ridiculous power creep, especially because they don't have to evolve, and that's a big thing. Pokemon, the franchise, is based on your Pokemon evolving and growing and, leveling up and stuff, and when we can just slap 300 HP Pokemon on the board and one-shot things in 2 turns, it's like power them up in 2 turns and one-shot them. That didn't sound right, but yeah, just like slap a 300 Pokemon on the board one shot. It's not right. So that's for starters, but I thought it would be fun to scroll through Amazing Volt Tackle and Legendary Heartbeat, which will be making up our Vivid Voltage set. Scroll through this and look at some cards that I think could have been good but missed the mark. They needed to be overtuned just a little bit. Maybe something be changed about them, just be made a little bit more powerful. And even then, if some of these cards were made more powerful, the game is just so fast. Like, you don't even have time to enjoy the game. It's like over in 5 turns. Like, so the first one is Shiftry. So Shiftry has an ability called Tengu Substitute. When this Pokemon is active, all of your opponent's supporter cards now read draw 3 cards. So it turns all of your opponent's supporters into a Howl or a Hop or whatever. So your opponent's boss's orders, they play boss's orders, they draw 3 cards now. They play Research, they draw 3 cards. They play Marnie, nobody shuffles, draw 3 cards. So I love this. And this design I haven't seen for quite a while. So the design from Shiftry and Dusknoir that we'll get into, I was ecstatic when these cards were revealed, because I haven't seen this kind of innovative design, or at least I feel like I haven't seen this kind of design on regular Pokemon for quite a while from the team. So I was happy to see this, but Tengu Substitute, this will never see play. Because why? Okay, so first of all, the effect, it's good but not broken. Your opponent's supporters are still working. It doesn't say your opponent can't play supporters. They can still play them and draw cards. Second, Fan Tornado, decent attack, honestly, 110, and have their opponent switch their active with one of their benched. So this is actually really decent, and I like the synergy with the ability, because if you're trying to disrupt your opponent by not letting them play their good supporters, they have to just draw 3 cards for turn. you can bring something up with like a big retreat cost or a support Pokemon, stick it there, do some damage. So I honestly really like this, and I feel like this could have been a good card back in like 2005, 2006 era. Like this might have actually been playable back in those times of the game. But right now, 100% honest, if this didn't say while this Pokemon's in the active spot, if this just said all effects of the supporter cards in your opponent's hand are draw 3 cards, I still don't think it would see play. You have to play the stage 2 Pokemon line, so at least 1 Seedot and 1 Shiftry, then you have to play at least 1 rare candy. So let's say you hit those cards, you're probably going to end up playing like a 202 line or a 212 line plus 2 or 3 rare candy. So let's say you've put somewhere between 3 to 8 cards in your deck for this line, this evolution line, and you turn 2 or turn 3, sometimes not even then, you candy it in, you get your Shiftry up. Now you've wasted those cards, so those card slots in your hand, first of all, like let's say you research and you draw 7 cards, so 2 of those cards are your Shiftry and your candy, great. But what if those would have typically been like your VMAX and your energy for turn? So, yes, well, maybe you could get it out. There's hardly any kind of rare candy decks in the game right now, and the top one is Decidueye Obstagoon, and that's only because it completely walls out your opponent. The problem with Stage 2 Pokemon right now is the deck space. You have to allocate however many deck slots to get up to this Pokemon, and it's a Pokemon that you're building, and it's probably going to be knocked out in a single attack by most decks. Whereas something like Pikarom is 1 card. That's it. 1 card. No basic Pokemon, no rare candy. That's it. Something like ADP, 1 card. Zacian's 1 card. It draws you cards and it accelerates energy to itself, and it one-shots things for 3 energy. Like stage 2 Pokemon can't compete with that. So like I was saying, even if this Pokemon made all of your opponent's supporter cards draw 3 cards while it was on the bench, I'm still not sure that would see competitive play. And if it was, it would be very fringe, because your opponent is still getting to do things. It's not even like you're locking them. And stage 2 evolutions just aren't worth the deck space unless they're doing something ridiculous right now. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe it being on the bench would be too powerful, but there's a world where in a vacuum this card seems very good, and there's a world where we would have a metagame where this card could be played. You know, 150 HP Pokemon could be played and not just blown off the board by anything, but we can't right now. End rant about Shiftry, and we're moving on. Charizard I think is pretty solid, but still might not see play even though it's very powerful. Okay, so the Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, this was the next one I wanted to talk about. So Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, they all have a similar ability. So let me just search so I get them right. Flareon is ability Burning Awakening. If this Pokemon has Memory Capsule attached to it, both players' grass Pokemon have no abilities. Okay, so you're locking grass abilities, great. But let's just make sure I know the types. So Jolteon blocks all lightning Pokemon. Wait. Okay, yeah, Jolteon blocks all. That can't be right. Water. There we go. Jolteon blocks all water abilities. The translation's wrong, and Vaporeon blocks all fire abilities. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure it's the ones that are weak to them. So here's the issue. It's the same thing. It's deck space. Also speed of the game. So two problems with this. So Flareon, you attach a memory capsule. Memory capsule says you can use attacks from previous evolutions. This is not like a good card in every single deck. It'll probably be rarely used, but I'm sure it will have some application. The difference between Garbodor and the Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon is that Garbodor could have any tool and it locked all abilities, so you could just throw 4 Floatstone, which is a good card, into your deck and use it. Flareon is locking grass abilities. Jolteon locks water abilities. Vaporeon locks fire abilities. So you're putting in, let's say, bare minimum a 1/1 line plus 1 memory capsule to lock your opponent's specific Pokemon type abilities. That's never gonna fly in standard format the way the game is right now. Because one, I don't think there's any one, the deck space, like I said, you're putting in an evolution and a bad tool when you could just play 3 broken basic Pokemon. And the effect isn't enough of a payoff locking just one type of Pokemon, because like locking grass Pokemon, okay, great, your opponent can't play Eldegoss. Locking water, if you hit a Frostmoth deck, you've locked them. And then locking, what was the other one? Locking fire. Yeah, locking fire. So what would that would stop Heatran GX's Hot Burn. It would stop something like the Charizard we just looked at, but yeah, it's not good enough. What I would have liked to see, and I still don't know if it would have been played, is it locks all abilities but the type of the evolution. So Flareon locks everything but fire abilities, Vaporeon locks everything but water abilities, and Jolteon locks everything but lightning. I would have liked to seen that. It would have definitely been stronger, but I'm still not sure if it would have been used. Another thing to note that I also talk about frequently while we're talking about this, it's on the same topic, is that Japan designs cards for Japan's standard format, but that still doesn't give them any reason to make tag teams or any of this. So yeah, there's the Vaporeon we were talking about. I think we'll look at one more for today, and the one more is we're almost there. Oh, poor Alakazam, they did you dirty. Okay, so let's talk about, oh no, there's two more, because I just remembered one that had really caught my eye earlier. So Dusknoir, awesome looking art. I love Dusknoir cards. They've always been cool in the past. Dusknoir cards used to be very skill intensive and have a lot of options to do. Stormfront Dusknoir and Stormfront Dusknoir level X come to mind, and also Dusknoir from Diamond and Pearl, and also Dusknoir from Boundaries Cross. Ghost type Pokemon have just always been amazing. So I like this ability, but not in this era of Pokemon. So ability Ghost Bleach. All special energies attached to any Pokemon in play have no effect and just provide colorless. This ability comes from a stadium called Crystal Beach. That was the original printing of this ability. It was on a stadium, and we've actually been seeing that in this set a lot. They're reprinting stadiums as abilities, or like energies as tools, things like that. So they're reusing abilities, which I like, because the game used to be, the Pokemon TCG used to be like the best game I ever played. But I digress. Let's continue on the topic. Ability Ghost Bleach. All special energies attached to any Pokemon have no effect and just provide colorless. So this would be great if special energies were more dominant. The most we see special energies is like Speed Lightning against Pikarom. Well, let me tell you, if you just took the time to candy up into a Dusknoir, and now Pikarom's Speed Lightning energy only counts as a colorless, the amount of games where that's actually going to provide you like a shot at victory where you wouldn't have been able to win with any other 3-card combination is slim to none. So think about it, like your opponent, like I said earlier, your opponent's deck is based off of either monster basic Pokemon or monster stage 1 Pokemon known as Pokemon VMAX that attack very efficiently, like Eternatus 2 energy to do 270, unreal. Scorch just turns into a monster out of nowhere. When you're allotting, let's say 6 slots to this guy, we'll say it's a tech. Very, very, very thin tech line. 101 Dusknoir and 2 rare candy. Let's say that. So we've put 4 slots of our deck to 1 Duskull, 1 Dusknoir, and 2 rare candy. Like those 4 slots could go towards like playing Aurora energy and a fighting attacker that'll actually beat Pikarom. Or if you want to play this to beat like maybe a deck with horror energy, just, you know, play a dark attacker to beat Dragapult. But here's the kicker. You could just play 4 scoop up net Jirachi Guru Mewtwo engine, which is a great engine, and then toss in a Giratina. I used to say Giratina. I thought that was actually how it was pronounced, and people got very upset with me. They were going to chase me off the internet. So, and you just throw in a Giratina from Unified Minds, and now you can discard the energy. You could just get rid of the energy. compared to all of that, I think I make a very strong argument for saying this ability does not seem very good, especially in the current day. Back when there was double rainbow energy, back when there was scramble energy, yeah, this ability would have been insane. Even double colorless energy in the Zoroark GX era, this card probably would have been pretty good. But even if there was a deck that relied on special energy, they could just play Stealthy Hood, but there's no deck that relies on special energy that much. Or at least in like the high, at least in the high tiers of the meta. I don't think there's, let's see, I guess like Altaria decks, Greedent decks, Golisopod, Aeropod. Yeah, so outside of like very rogue contenders that if you put Dusknoir in your deck, you probably won't even end up hitting those decks. Special energy is not relied upon in the standard format metagame. Of course, like I said, there are rogue decks that use special energy, but it's not like necessary. And then there was one more I wanted to talk about, the design, where I think it's a card that's very thought-provoking, and it's a card that they do this kind of attack a lot, but I wanted to talk about this one specifically. So this Sableye, awesome looking card. It has an attack called Torment for 2 energy. It does 30 damage. Choose an attack from one of your opponent's active Pokemon. I don't know why they worded it like that. That makes it sound like double battles. Choose an attack from your opponent's active Pokemon. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't use that attack. Oh, excuse me. So, what I would have liked to see is Torment say, choose an attack name. During your opponent's next turn, their Pokemon cannot use that attack. Or just choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon cannot use that attack. Switching does not remove this effect. Either one of those. So the reason I would have liked this is because this would indirectly change deck building potentially, or you just take a loss to something like this, or like it's very hard to get around. Like basically it stops you from having one attack you just use the whole game, i.e. Brave Blade. So if you put this out there, your opponent, like you could go like Crushing Hammer your opponent, Crushing Hammer your opponent's ADP's water energy, and then Torment 30 onto their Zacian. You can't use Brave Blade next turn. Switching doesn't get you out of this effect. That kind of like encourages playing something like Evil Admonition Hoopa and ADPZ, or just some kind of other backup attacker. Like even if it's Zamazenta, it would encourage even playing Zamazenta and just have more diversity. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to see reason to diversify your deck, because there's no reason to do that right now when you can just play, you know, your ADPZ deck with big basics. You don't have to evolve anything. Your Pika Rom deck with big basics, you don't have to evolve anything. Your all dark Eternatus deck, which honestly Eternatus does get punished, but something to slow the game down, you know, like anything you can do to give single prizers or stage 2s a shot. Like just try it out. Like the worst thing that can happen is the card's overpowered and you ban it. Like ADP's overpowered and you don't ban it. Like tag teams in general are terrible for the game, so like why not just give stage 2s a chance as well and see what happens. I mean, like Baloba and Mismagius got banned and they weren't even doing anything wrong, but they're too afraid to like give something like this a really annoying attack, or like give stage 2s like Shiftry a little bit of a tune-up on their ability. Like say, you know what, this one isn't cutting it, let's see if we do this, maybe it'll pop into the meta. But yeah, so that's kind of my rant. I just would love to see a little bit more of experimentation and going out on a whim with single prizers and stage 2s, and you know, if they could just delete every 3 prize Pokemon from existence in the meantime, that would be great. But that's not going to happen, and I hope you enjoyed this video of Celio rants about card design. Maybe that'll be the name of the series. Leave it in the comments below what I should name this series. I hope you did enjoy this video though. Shout out to my sponsor, PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, and leave a big old thumbs up if you liked the video, or a thumbs down. I'll take whatever I can get. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.